I'm here with Mr. Patrick Grillo. He's the Senior Director Marketing Solution at Fortinet. Hello, Mr. Grillo.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Sofia and to the IDC IT Security Roadshow 2015. Tell me a little about your background.
Well, I've only ever worked in the networking industry. Networking using different protocols, different technologies, which of course naturally led me into network security. As the networks have evolved, that the need to protect those networks has evolved as well. And you'll find it's a very common career path that people like myself spending a certain amount of time in the networking industry moving into network security. It's a natural evolution.
You have an extensive experience and you're here with a presentation. What did you present on the conference, on the roadshow?
On the roadshow. What I presented was Fortinet's philosophy on the evolution of the threat landscape, meaning the attacks that we see on a daily basis against our customers' networks. Because the information that's in the network has such value to other people, whether that be intellectual property or in the retail world, credit card information, healthcare information, whatever it might be, there's enormous value in that. And accessing or trying to break into the network to access that data and then reselling it on is the motivation for the cyber criminal or the hacker to launch these increasingly sophisticated threats against the network. What my presentation was about was Fortinet's philosophy as to how we perceive the market, we perceive the threats, and present a framework and a set of solutions to give you the maximum protection you can in today's world.
What is the current status of all these threats? Why are they so complex?
Well, they're complex quite simply because the defenses against them have continued in complexity. The one point I always make when I speak is the cyber criminal is extremely creative. They're technologically sophisticated, frequently extremely well funded, and the technology that we deploy to counter them is extremely sophisticated. So for them to stay in business, they have to counter what we do and come up with something even more sophisticated. But they always rely on the weak link, and that's typically the human element. The email that you get that looks attractive, that you click on the attachment, that's the entry point into the network. And that's the toughest part of the problem to deal with.
Could we say that this is a catch-up game?
Very much a catch-up game. I use two analogies in my presentations. One is a cat and mouse game, that we're doing something, they counter it, then we counter that. The other analogy I use is sports, and I happen to use football, and it can either be the round football you kick or the other football that you throw with your hand. But the analogy there is that you have two teams, an offensive team and a defensive team. And generally, the offensive team, the offensive player, always has an advantage because he knows what he's going to do. The defensive player has to react and respond. What we try to do is to go beyond reacting and responding and anticipate what's going to happen. So not only are we reactive, but we're also proactive at the same time.
What are the current trends, or more importantly, what are the future trends that we can expect? And what are the solutions that Fortinet is providing to its customers?
Well, one of the biggest threats is on the growing use of mobile devices for accessing corporate data. They present a particular challenge, largely because the operating system that's widely used, Android, is susceptible to security violations. And what happens a lot, that people are using their mobile devices, they're on public Wi-Fi networks, they're using them at home. There is generally a lack of efficient antivirus or client software for these devices. And so there's a high likelihood that these devices are easily infected. When those devices are brought into the corporate network, because they're brought in, they're bypassing the perimeter defenses that have been traditionally built, accessing the corporate network through its wireless component or whatever, it adds a special challenge. And because the sheer number of mobile devices is now many times greater than that of PCs, we see the problem being magnified, excuse me.
As a consumer, I would like to ask you questions. Which operating system, mobile, do you think is safer? Android, Windows, iPhone? iOS?
Well, I mean, to make a point, my particular mobile phone is the most secure in the world. I still use a BlackBerry because nobody writes malware for it. So there's no interest in the hacker community.
True.
Certainly between iOS, the iPhone, and Android, Apple is significantly more secure. Mm-hmm. Although we did see today, and it's something that's readily available to the public, it does, just because it's more secure doesn't mean that it's 100% foolproof. There are vulnerabilities. There is no such thing, exactly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grillo. It was very kind of you to share some interesting points here in Sofia, Bulgaria. All the best.
Thank you very much.